Okay, so we have an epic one here. Yeah, this is epic. So happy that you're here. First, tell us your name, how you know me, and and a little about yourself.
My name's Julia Hansen, and I have known Kenny, you, how do you want me to refer to you in third
Go, yeah,
person?
that's
my,
fine. Whatever, whatever.
my dear Kenneth, I've known you since technically seventh grade, when Kenny visited my history class and wouldn't stop staring at me. And that was the moment that I truly fell in love with this idiot. And then eighth grade, I guess, is when we got to know each other, is when you came to Swickley. So
Mhm.
that's how we've known each other. We've acted since then together for, yeah, so like over a decade, if not going on, it's past 15 years so that we've known each other. So
Wow.
yeah, and have been in a theater company together. And uh, what else do you want to know about me?
Just so like, yeah, good. Like, what do you want to, what do you want to talk about
I'm
yourself?
currently in school right now to become a speech pathologist. I'm applying grad schools in the fall. Just did 4 hours of anatomy lectures. So
Wow,
gang,
killing
gang.
it. Yeah.
Gang, gang.
Yeah. So Julia and so when I moved to Swickley, I just did like a little video, just like explaining kind of like, I was in New Jersey for this amount of time. I moved to
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, and so when I moved to Pittsburgh, like when I auditioned for the school play,
Yes.
Julia and I got the pretty much the show
The leads.
stopping
We were
roles.
the leads.
Yeah,
We
really.
were the more interesting leads. Listen, it's anything goes. So there's like auxiliary leads, which is what technically we are, like
Yeah. Yeah,
whatever.
so we did we did auxiliary leads. I like that, and I'll take it. I mean, you were the real lead. Like you
We're
had like
character actors till we die. That's
Mhm.
the truth of it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, like Reno is the lead in a sense, but like the story isn't really about her.
yeah. It
The
was
story
more
is
about
about Billy and Hope.
that's yeah. Wow, that you remember. I remember Billy. I don't remember. Well, I guess I was Billy later on. No, I wasn't. No, I was Moonface. For Pack, I did Moonface for one performance, and that was really fun too.
That is fun.
Um, yeah, that you remember their names is I
Oh,
don't
I love
remember.
musicals. That's why. I love
But
musicals.
and then after high school, or at least during high school, we went to Scotland together.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Edinburgh.
Better. That was fun. That was a
we
good
did
time.
we did box for the first time out of 10 there. We performed this show. So in the senior year of high school, we devised this show called
Hmm.
Box that we then put on maybe 4 times since then.
We did it twice at school because we did it
Right.
we did it that spring, and then we did it that autumn, or like that, like right before we went to Scotland we did it again. Then we did it in Scotland, then we did it in New York, then we did it in New York, and then I think, did we do it one more time? Did we do it 3 times in New
No, I
York or
think we only did
twice?
it twice. I think we only
Okay.
did it twice. Yeah, for like the 5 year
Never
anniversary or
ending.
something, we did Box again. I
I
played an
hate that show.
amoeba. Yeah, what? Why do you hate it? Why do you hate it, Julia?
I hate it because, like, what in what world do you ever have to revisit things that you did when you were that you created when you were 18 and pass it off as like presentable now? Like, would you ever, like, I don't know, that's like turning in a term paper for your grad school from a high school level paper. Like, it's just
Yeah, not equivalent.
so embarrassing.
Yeah. I the other day I was like going through tunnel vision and I was like, what was Julia's track? Was it must be perfect? Mistakes are
Mistakes are
unacceptable.
unacceptable.
Yeah. Like I was like, what was mine? I was like, study.
Oh yeah.
Princeton.
SATs.
SATs. That's the one I couldn't remember. Um,
Say too.
yeah,
It
and
was just such a high school. It's a beautiful show. Like it has its purpose. It's just shouldn't be done by adults. It should be done by children.
yeah, yeah, should be done by high schoolers, exactly.
Yeah.
And Stacy Donovan is our fearless leader.
Forever.
And
Not in a million years would I have guessed that she would be a lifelong friend.
I know, but I
Yeah.
mean, it also does make sense because she treated us like adults when we were in high school,
Hmm.
which is, I
I
mean,
get to
we
pick up her
respect it.
ashes when she dies.
So what are we gonna? Yeah, are we gonna put that like near a tree or something? We're gonna plant a tree in her
Oh
ashes.
yeah, I have to sneak into a park that shall remain nameless, and I have to bury her ashes with a tree, like plant a tree in a park.
I think I
I'm leaving
know.
that.
Yeah, leaving that part
Yeah.
out. Yeah,
I'm
people
leaving that
like.
part out because I'm not allowed to do that legally.
That's great. I like how you slid. Just slid the drink in. Like, yeah, it's beautiful. So Julie is now in New York, and
Yes.
what is it like there right now?
Um, to be fair, I haven't left my house in a month. Um, that's kind of a personal choice. I know a lot of people who are now more out and about, but I just have bad anxiety about that stuff. Also, I was sick with COVID in late March, early April, and I just now seeing that you can get it again. It's just like I just don't want to. not
Yeah.
not just really don't want to get that again. It was like the longest I've ever been sick. I was sick for 3 weeks. Um, and I mean, protests are still continuing. I mean, I haven't gone to any, which I've actually felt very guilty about, but had to reckon with what my role as a activist is, and I'm not a frontline person. I don't have the mental capacity for that or the strength for that, and I wish I did, but I don't. And yeah, I've worked a lot about that. I've worked a lot like mentally about that, of just like trying to, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I
Like
think there are.
it's guilt ridden to not be out there protesting constantly. Um, and but at the same time, me having an anxiety attack in a crowd detracts from the
Your ultimate
purpose.
mission, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they marched past my house one day, which was very cool, and I got to stand outside and cheer and
You know, so
who are my
like
neighbors
that,
and stuff.
you're in terms of your anxiety. Like I've been
Mm-hmm.
talking to some strangers, young people, really,
Mm-hmm.
that have anxiety issues, and for you, like, where have you always had those?
Mm-mm.
Did you? How did they come about? Do you think?
So I've always really had depression. I've had depression since I met you, probably. I have a genetic mutation that causes my serotonin receptors to not work, because my body can't process folic acid. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've been severely depressed and did not figure that out until, I mean, like I knew I was always sad, but like I just didn't put it together how intensely my life was abnormal from other people's. Um, until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And then I sought help last year and have been on meds for a year. Um, the anxiety came probably somewhere in college. I always got really bad anxiety before auditions and before shows. I know you and I have related a lot about that, about
Oh,
like severe stage fright pre-show. Um,
oh,
Even though like once you're on stage is like the most comfortable place in the entire world, but like the moments leading up to performing, I still like my stomach hurts, I get like severely nauseous. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever, I've thrown up before many shows,
No,
like,
well, you know what? Well, remember it during box. Like I can't eat before shows, and if I
mhm.
do, I start farting like it's
Yeah.
no tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
it's just awful, and
Yeah.
but so like that happens to me. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. Like going on stage and going on stage, there's just like a sense of calm if you're like
Yeah.
actually present and like you're just calm, and you listen, but like beforehand it's terrifying. It's terrifying. I
I
don't
mean,
know
it's a
why we
huge,
put ourselves through it.
I mean, that's why I stopped doing it. That's why I'm having this big career shift, is because my anxiety and mental health was so bad. Not only just about performing itself, but then the beating up after each performance,
Yeah.
which I know you and I are very similar in that sense. That's just like so intensely perfectionistic. No matter what critique anybody gives us, it will never have been good enough. And so I'll spend the next 24 hours or until the next show thinking about how I can make it better. And then I'll disappoint myself somehow again. And then it's just a nonstop cycle of really beating myself up about performance, and then beating myself about how I look and how I appear to people. And so I just finally was like, this isn't healthy for me anymore. And if I were to continue to do creative work, I can. I just cannot have it be my main source of like money making and career. And like, I don't want that. I've never been a career driven person in general. So like, it's not for me. It's not for me. And the uncertainty with the career in general is just, no, no, thank you.
So when
But
you're oh yeah, I'm sorry, go for it.
no, that's I just also with the anxiety that came from I was an avid weed smoker from 18 to 24, 25, and I started getting panic attacks every time I smoked weed. So I don't smoke it at all anymore.
Wow. So what? Wow. Oh, there's so many questions I want to.
Hmm.
You've opened the box. You've opened box.
Oh no.
Um, I know.
The high priestess
I
just
did.
stepped in.
But like at least like when you were 18, like what was it you think that turned you on to smoking weed, and what was it?
Hmm.
Was it the anxiety panic attacks that made you stop?
Yeah, definitely was what made me stop. Um, I just like every time I smoked, I was worried and nervous about my future and nervous about the people around me and nervous about what people thought of me. And it just, all it did was exacerbate issues that I had in my daily life that I was better able to repress. I haven't really tried smoking now that I'm on meds, but I just also am like, I don't need. Why would I like make myself do something? You know what I mean? Like I just don't need to
Hmm.
do that. Like it's not a necessary thing for me in my life anymore. It started as pretty much like, well, I was with my sister and my cousin, and we were at my sister's apartment after like a family hangout, and they were going to go smoke weed because they're older, and I was like, could I? And they were like, yeah, like join, join, join. So that was the first time I smoked weed. And I was like, this is the best thing ever, because for the first time, I could finally relax. I was like a very tightly wound child. You know this about me. Like our relationship was filled with a lot of actually like I would say I think most people who knew me in high school would think of me as tightly wound and kind of mean and like snaps. I snap a lot at people. I don't anymore, thank God. But I think weed was really helpful in that. Is it like finally was like, yo, dude, like chill out for a second. And it was like a huge breaking point for a big, not even a big personality shift, but like I returned back to the person I was when I was a kid, which was a very nice and kind and loving person. And that was also a lot of stuff that happened in college too, of like, acting classes and whatnot, that like brought me back to being a more calm and loving person. But yeah, I mean, that's why it stuck with me is because I was like, oh, this is the me I like. This
Mm.
is the person I like, is the calm and loving person, not the tightly wound, easily provoked person.
I mean, I remember, college and coming and seeing you because we would, meet up every summer in New York
Mm-hmm.
during college and to do a show. And I remember just how much more relaxed you were, and I associated that a lot with weed, with you, like kind of just like shedding skin,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of, I don't know, just kind of I remember you seeming way more grounded in yourself
Mm-hmm.
and maybe your thoughts and stuff. And yeah, I mean, in college, you were the first person that I ever got drunk with, actually.
Got
Um,
drunk with?
yeah, yeah. New Year's Eve.
Oh yeah, where a friend of ours vomited all over my living room.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. I forget which friend it was, which is probably good.
Yeah.
And I also, the first time I got high was with you too.
Oh God. I'm the
So,
worst
but
influence.
well, no, which is like, but I think that I really wondered. I think it was because I just felt so comfortable with you. Like I've always had
Yeah.
kind of trust issues, and you were always someone that I've just trusted all, like and
That's
even
nice.
though, yeah, and even though like I had an awful first time smoking weed where I locked myself in your bathroom and Jimmy Barbuda was out there like seeing if I was okay, and I was freaking out
Yeah,
looking
that
at
was
myself
not
in
the
the
right
mirror.
environment.
Yeah, there were like strangers like walking in and like
Yeah.
staring at me, I thought, and I was like, this, oh my God. Yeah, it was bad. But no, but I always trusted you, and we've always like banter, always had like fun banters and stuff. But no, it's
Yeah. I mean,
it's
your family till I die, so
right. I know.
it just is. Like, I consider you one of my siblings without a doubt. Like, you
I
just
feel like
are. There is a
I feel like we're like, yeah. If we were siblings, would I be your? I feel like I would be your younger brother by a year,
yes. Oh, absolutely. I would
right?
say that you're my younger brother,
Yeah.
even though you're older than me.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
younger brother. I feel like, but not by much though.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's our relationship though. I don't know that that's so much like, I don't think it has anything to do with age. I'm just like a mean
No.
bully to you.
Well, and we both like that.
So fun.
I mean, I see. Like people like that I know like are like so afraid to be like, but it like I love that kind of like rough and just kind of,
Me too.
yeah, right.
Actually, that's like been a huge thing with dating for me, is like people who are like, this is what I mean when people say they're too nice. Like, nice people are fine. They're just boring. I would
Boring.
rather
Thank you.
somebody like be a little aggressive and honest with me. Like, I'm not looking to have a partner in life that like tells me what I want to hear. I want somebody to be like, you're a piece of shit. And I'm like, yeah, I know I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, fuck you. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me tell you all the things I hate about you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
Do you miss Swickley? Do you ever miss high school?
No.
No.
No. It was like the worst time of my life. Like, I think that's half of the reason why I was so angry, is that place repressed me in a way that was unbearable. And so I went to that school from pre-kindergarten to 12th grade. And yeah, just I'm not a preppy Tory Burch, play lacrosse kind of person. I'm weird, and like, I talk about my bowel movements publicly, like, like, i'm not country club material, even though that's how I was raised. It really isn't my personality, and I felt deeply repressed, both like physically because I'm fat, and I was in this restrictive dress code, and but also just like personality wise, I felt like I couldn't truly be myself. or I don't know, maybe I thought I was being myself. I don't know. I just was also really just sad and unhappy. I mean, high school pretty much started off with my dad dying, and that was like the entirety of high school is me just grieving intensely the entire time and like not completing schoolwork and getting yelled at by teachers. And even though I was like a straight A student, you know, up until
Yeah.
my junior and senior year, I got a lot of flack for like getting B's and C's from teachers because that was the fucking environment of that nightmare school. Is that if you're not going to MIT, you're a waste of space.
Crazy, right? Like looking back, like that's it's such a factory. But it also did allow, like at least for student government and stuff, like it really, like we had a lot of control and a lot of say as to the things
Mm-hmm.
that happened. Like to be able to organize a dodgeball tournament where Dr. Zawacki is able to play and to raise money. Like what other high school would have really allowed for that? Like at least
Yeah.
that's what I mean, but I'm biased because, I
You
don't know.
loved high school?
I did. I had a really, well, I hated freshman and sophomore year. I really hated it because like eighth grade I came in and
Mm-hmm.
like I was the talk of the town pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. And then like high school came around and I was no longer that. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I just did things for attention and I did mean things and I
I mean,
learned.
that's the story of you and me is that everything we do is seeking attention. We are massive attention seekers
Yeah.
who hide behind being like nice people.
Yeah, yeah, you're yeah, Julia. Yeah, it's absolutely true. You know, and I think I hated to admit that for a long time. Um and like I've been looking up like people who have been kind of doing projects that I believe are similar to this, the YouTube channel, and I was looking at the guy at Humans of New York, right, Brandon
Mm-hmm.
Stanton, and
I love his
he
stuff.
he does not take a picture of himself. He's taken one picture of himself and put it on his blog for in 10 years. Like he just doesn't, he's
Mm-hmm.
like, it's all about the other person. And I so admire that because like, I'm in every single video that I put up, like it is like an
But
attention.
that's a personal choice because also like what's like I like being a little vain. I like not being particularly humble. I think that's an interesting part of my personality, and I guess it's also like a rebellion against that, like for women specifically to be humble and meek and quiet and like, you know, that's a more feminine way. For me, it's more interesting, like when a guy says that I'm beautiful, for me to go, I know, thank you for reminding me. Like that, that to me, I don't know. I think it's like an ownership thing. Like, I guess there's a difference between being conceited and being confident and being humble and being insecure. And I think those lines are so, they're so close together. You know what I mean? Like you can easily like maybe the reason he doesn't show himself is because he's deeply insecure about himself. Maybe it's not as grandiose and as admirable as we think it is that he's just so humble that he doesn't need to share himself. Maybe he just hates himself, you know, like
Mm,
so I
mm,
don't know. I think
interesting.
there's a balance between the two things, and I think we need to let people be more confident and let people be more self-assured and vain. Like, what's wrong with saying that I look really fucking good in certain outfits, or like I have phenomenal like bone structure? Like, like that's okay. That's okay to say that about yourself. Like, you should like yourself. You should like the body you're in.
Oh, Julia, you're amazing. You're so, I mean, this is why, yeah, I know.
I know. I'm just saying.
No,
It's the
no,
same.
no.
In the same way.
Yeah,
Yeah. Is my
yeah.
stomach riddled with stretch marks, and I find it absolutely repulsive to look at? Yeah. But that's like a whole other discussion about like body neutrality and body positivity and.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is a whole big thing, and
Mhm.
I, from talking to some of the strangers on here, like that has been an issue. Like for you, what is, if you want to talk about,
Sure.
in detail or or not in detail, just like what has been your journey with your relationship with your body?
So I've always been fat. at least I've always considered myself fat. When you look at pictures of me younger, I wasn't, but I just thought I was because that's what my parents instilled in me. I was on diets starting in 6th grade. And between 6th grade and 8th grade, I gained 50 pounds. And between 8th grade and 12th grade, I gained 50 more. So,
50 more, you said?
mhm.
Wow.
So, and then I gained, yeah, I was like about 250, 260, which is kind of where I've been for the past few years. I mean, I had a massive weight loss, but like I'm 5'9" and I'm a 250-pound woman, and it just is what it is. And like, um, so I gained all of this weight, and it was like very deeply upsetting to me, especially in the environment we were raised in. Me so even more specifically than you, because I just came from this like family that was so intense about physical image, that my dad wrote it in his death letter to me. So he wrote all these letters to me and my sisters when he died. Um, and in mine, it has a whole paragraph about someday I hope you learn to take care of your body, and that you don't be a lazy person who just eats all the time. So, I really thought shit of my body for a very, very long time. And I didn't lose my virginity until I was 20. And I think that's half the reason is I just thought I was unworthy of that sort of stuff, and that if I wasn't skinny, nobody wanted to have sex with me, and I wasn't worthy of love being fat. And so a lot of college and later, and specifically the past year, has been about realizing that that is just the most made up bullshit. That yeah, there are people out there who really would think I'm undeserving of love because I'm fat. There are definitely those people who exist, but there's also really wonderful people who don't think that way. So that's been a huge thing. And it's like, I think I started developing a lot of confidence about my body from theater, because nobody seemed to care what I looked like. When I was on stage, only things people cared about were my voice and, the performance I did. I think senior year, when I wasn't cast as the lead in Cabaret because I was fat, like that was really upsetting to me. And that was like a moment when I was like deeply, deeply troubled by my body having anything to do with my performance and my talents. And then, yeah, as I like went abroad in college and stuff, and like people started hitting on me, and I was like, oh, like, and then just also then realizing, 5 years after that my value is not dependent upon what other people think of me. So it was like a multi-step thing of being like, hey, look, you are valuable because people look at you and they say you're pretty. Or then to, hey, you know what, you're valuable whether or not people say you're pretty. You're valuable or not whether or not somebody wants to sleep with you.
It's so hard to get there. It's really
Oh,
hard.
I fail constantly. It's not a destination. It's definitely
That's
not a destination.
that's so wise. That is the high priestess there. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's yeah. It's not.
I mean,
It's
this is a
not a
year of
destination.
therapy, like straight up, like a year of intensive therapy every day has really saved my life in many ways. And also then you go in about how, fat phobia is all rooted in white supremacy and capitalism. So
Wow. Yeah. My gosh. I can only imagine like being in a session with you and like listening to the thoughts that are being discovered. What is a recent discovery that you've had in therapy that you would like that you could share that
hmm,
really kind of spoke to you?
I don't know, the past couple of weeks haven't been great. Like I don't feel like I've gotten a lot out of the sessions. Um, I don't know. Every once in a while there would be something that like I come up with, I'll find out about in session and be like, oh man, I need to write this down and save it for later. But it's been a while since I've had like, I mean, COVID's kind of made that hard for me. About like maybe last October sort of time was when I was like really finally feeling like I was like coming to like a peak of like, oh, I'm learning all this new stuff. And I mean, I've always been very anti-capitalist, but realizing that like everything about how we exist as people right now is about capitalism is like really intense, like fat phobia. Or when you ask somebody when you meet somebody new, one of the first questions you ask is, what do you do? What does that question have anything to do with who the person is? It has like
Yeah.
nothing to do with it. It's my least favorite question. What I do doesn't really matter. I'm doing what I do because I'm forced to have a job to make money. Now, if that's your passion and that's like the thing that drives you, then so be it. But for most people, work is not their passion. Work is not the thing that they want to, like, that's not what defines a person. And so I was unemployed I'm still unemployed. I've been unemployed since 2018, and it is what it is. I was a nanny for 7 years, and then I had to leave that job because it just was too intense. And I wasn't getting benefits and stuff. So I was feeling really guilty about the fact that I didn't have a job. And you know that I'm in a position where I'm financially stable, and I'm really blessed and lucky that way. And I was feeling incredibly guilty about like, you're just a fucking trust fund kid. You're like, you don't have to work, you lazy piece of shit, you know, and like, what are you if not your job? And having to go through that and going and like examining what, and I mean, all of this is like, what defines a person's value? It's not the way they look. It's not what they do. And it's how they treat people and they treat themselves and they live life. Like that to me is what's interesting. You know, like I don't want to have people in my life who are interesting because of their career. Like that's boring, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. People that, I don't know, people who are brave enough to think about things independently and are critical and curious about how things can change and become better. For me, like, those are the people that are interesting to me. And
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I think the thing that like for me attracts me to someone is someone that is using their creativity in a way that I could never ever imagine myself doing it. And so like you like bringing like speech pathology, like which is like I wonder like how it went for you from like theater and acting and like and
Mm-hmm.
understanding language and story into this kind of speech pathology. And I mean, there must be a connection there, and that's just so interesting to me, and it makes me unendingly curious about like how your mind works, because I feel like we're so close, but I've absolutely no idea how your mind works. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well,
Like,
that's the thing is like we've been so close for so long that we stop asking questions about each other.
interesting, right? Yeah, it's
You
true.
know, I mean, I think that's why like you see a lot of friendships grow apart is because they like don't actually know who the person is now. They know who the person used to be. Um, but yeah, no, I got to speech pathology because the oldest boy of the family I babysit's autistic, and I was taking him to speech therapy all the time. And I was like, I had done some teaching and I realized I didn't want to be in a big classroom. I don't have good control over students. Um, and I don't like that environment. It feels abusive to me. Like good, bless all of the teachers in this world because it's abuse. It's absolute mental abuse. Um, and yeah, so then I decided, I was like, what is the perfect combination of everything I love? I love voice work. I was thinking about being a voice actor for like a very long time because it removed everything that made me anxious about performance. Um, and but the thing that I was inhibiting me about that was that it was still a creative career where my job was constantly up in the air. So I didn't want that. I didn't want to go become a teacher because I didn't like the class size thing. I didn't like I don't know, but I love the flexibility of being a teacher. I love the hours of being a teacher. I love the summers off. I love I love academia. I've always really liked academia. Um, and so all of a sudden I was like, oh, I want to work with kids like Luca. I want to work with kids who have speech issues because like I'm really good at speech stuff. Like I'm really good at altering my voice and change and like knowing musculature in my mouth. And like, I mean, you and I both have always been good at voices and singing. And
Hmm.
like, that's what I love doing. But I'm also a really intensely science and math driven mind
Mm.
where I don't think it's always paid off creatively. So it just, yeah, it dawned upon me like, oh, I need to go back to school so I can be a speech language pathologist.
I'm having that same kind of like awakening, but for me, like it happened during grad school that I was like,
Mm,
man, like I don't think I actually want to do acting and theater like fully like I thought I
mm-hmm.
did. You know, like doing acting like 14 hours a day, and I mean, part of it was some of the people. Um, Part of it was just like, this is not. I don't know, like my hobby. I want my hobby to be kind of my job. And actually, when I come home, like I love socializing. I love
Mm-hmm.
sitting down and calling friends and talking to friends. So like I want to be making new friends every day, and so like I this seems to be like kind of an avenue for that. Like I'm meeting people, I'm talking to people, I'm learning about things, like I'm learning about you. This is giving me an opportunity to learn that like you're becoming a speech pathologist because you were babysitting an autistic child, and I didn't know that before.
No.
So yeah, I didn't know that. So like maybe I wouldn't have known that if I wouldn't be doing this. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like yeah, so it just seems to me like I don't know. I don't know how to make this a job though. I mean, other than just doing it day after day,
Yeah. You
off.
just keep doing it and I don't know, things shift.
No.
I'm of the idea that everything will fall into your lap eventually. Yeah, you do have to be active in your life. Like you can't be incredibly passive, but that like you can have a career shift at 45. Who cares?
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly. And the
mean?
people who do care aren't the people you want in your life,
Exactly.
right? Yeah,
Exactly.
totally. I think that's what like people, at least young people, I think, are having trouble realizing that because they're stuck in a place and they have to like exist in this social bubble that they were dealt a hand,
Hmm.
and they have to deal with that hand until they can. But then kids don't realize that they can get out of it. They can trade in their cards later on and move somewhere. And I think, I don't know, the world just seems really small to people when when they don't know how to drive like we did for so long. And
Oh, I still don't know how to drive.
really, dude, I
Yeah.
just got my license
Good for
just a few
you.
months ago. I know, I know. It took a while.
Yeah, 29 years old and I can't drive a car. What up?
What's up, dude? Yeah. Um, yeah. But anyway, it's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's weird. I mean, I felt a lot of sadness about like leaving theater and leaving acting, and like I cried about it a lot. Cried
Mm.
about leaving my nannying job. Like it's not to say that every transition is easy and grief free. Like every transition is horrible. I mean, I inherently hate change. I hate it so much. I love the steady flow. Um, and where was I going with that?
It's
Just
okay.
had a
You just,
just
yeah, it's okay to
oh,
just
just
say.
just changes. Yeah, change is just filled with a lot of mourning of what could have been or what you wish had happened. But you can't live your life with like that. You just can't do it. It will eat you up. I mean, like you can do it. You can do it. You're just gonna have the world's most miserable life. Um,
Like after going to audition after audition, thinking like, oh, I did so well, I'm gonna get that, and then dreaming of how it'll be on the job, like traveling to wherever. and getting paid to act and then not getting it, like time after
Mm-hmm.
time after time, is just really, I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to go back to that and do that again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Um,
maybe you can do it for a bit and see how it feels and see if like that's my opinion on things. Like do it for like I had given myself sort of like a 10-year frame of like starting college, and if I still wanted to be acting after 10 years, then I would still be acting. And I didn't. That's okay. You
yeah.
know, yeah, did I feel like I wasted a degree? At first, yes. Now I'm realizing how intensely beneficial it was for me. Um,
Yeah.
like I said before, it really changed my life in the way I approach people, and I can empathize with, you know, people, and even from very different backgrounds, you know, just like understanding. I mean, like, that's just like a huge part of acting, is just like finding yourself in the like the most uncommon person from you, is like finding how you really, at least that's what acting is for me, is finding myself in a stranger, no matter how different they are from me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Me
I know
too.
some people are like, for them acting is completely removing themselves, and you know, but
And
I'm
that's
like,
a
yeah, for me it's
yeah.
commonality.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. That's. I was gonna ask you something. I forget now. Fuck. Um. Mm, I don't know. That's fine. It's okay.
All right, it is what it is.
um, oh yeah. What do you think? Where do you think you stand with like Improbable and doing stuff with them, with us?
I love Improbable. I love Improbable with my heart. I'm currently working on the show that we're currently making.
Oh.
I
Julie, you're holding it together.
They all know this. I've tried to quit the company 3 times, 3 separate times, and nobody lets me leave. Nobody is just like, all I need from people is to be like, thank you for your decision. But every single time it's like, but please, what if? And so so somehow I've been roped back into it. I love those women, and I will work with those women until I die. You know, like I'm happy to be in the position I am with them currently, where I'm not acting, and I'm not directing. I just kind of like am in the room and I get to experience things. It's just a lot of work, because we're trying to like keep up a presence, and there's just like a lot of busy work that I'm not interested in. But
Mm,
I think they know that about me.
yeah.
Um, I think I've been rude enough about that stuff, or like I don't want to help. You're not on social media, right?
No.
Okay.
No,
So
what's going on?
we just do a lot of stuff on Instagram, and it's actually really wonderful things. It's just like I have an assignment every week. So we do this thing called Wednesday Words, where there's it's actually really fun if you're in the mood for something creative,
Mm,
where you're given a word. We're given one word each week. So last week it was burst, and you just make one story length of whatever you want, a poem, a boomerang, a video, singing, a photograph, like whatever you want to do that's your representation of the word. Um, and I actually love the idea. I just like, if I were not in the company, I would not be participating in this every week. You know what I mean? Like I'm
yeah.
busy right now. I'm busy right now. So I guess it's just like it's a priority thing right now. It's not my priority right now.
Yeah.
And that's not to talk down the company, because I actually think we do incredible work, and we've always done incredible work. And this new piece, once it's finished, is so cool in so many ways. It's all about grief, and it's all about
Mm,
it's called For the Living, and it's all about what it means to be alive after somebody's died in your life. Um,
mm. Wow, and that's a meaningful one for you and for
sure.
at least Tally, I know.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and
Yeah, I don't think Sarah and Emily have experienced quite as much death. But then I can be really judgmental about what I consider somebody experiencing grief. Um, just because I lost my father, which to me seems like,
Yeah, kind of at
yeah,
the
like that's the most you could lose. It's like father or husband or wife or like
child.
it's
Yeah.
child, family
Yeah.
member, like a close family member, like this, like, you know, um, that to me is the pinnacle of grief. So when people say like, oh, but I experienced my grandparent dying, and I'm like, but you expect your grandparent to die. You don't expect your 45-year-old father to die, you know, like it's
Your dad
just,
was your dad 45?
mhm.
Wow. I feel like you've told me that like like two or three times, and I
He's
just it's just so hard to.
he would have been Stacy's age. They were born the same year. Yeah. So I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, yeah, he died in 2004. So
I mean, I can't imagine I can't imagine having 15
I
years
know
left. Like that's actually kind of.
it's
Yeah.
terrifying. And
Oh
he
my
was a
God.
very healthy person and died from a brain tumor, you know, like you just, I guess, but whatever. He was also a huge asshole. So, you know,
Hmm.
everybody has their shit. But
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah. So in terms of this piece, I've been a little judgmental about grief and been a little know-it-all. What that sounds like me. So, um,
Well,
as,
I mean, I mean, the first step is to to acknowledge that, you know,
yeah, yeah,
of
absolutely.
dialogue or collaboration.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean, it's been great for conversation of that purpose. Um,
I miss that. I
Emily,
miss. Oh, go for it.
yeah.
Yeah, Emily.
Well, I was just gonna say Emily hysterically sobs during One Piece every time because she thinks about her dog. Like that would I mean, I've never had a pet, so for me that's like, okay. You know what I
Really?
mean? Like, how does that
Yeah.
make you cry? But like, I mean, I get it. Like, it's sad, but it wouldn't, even thinking about my dad dying
Mm.
doesn't make me cry anymore. But that might be distance. I don't know. Grief is weird.
My it's interesting. The first thing I think about with grief is like grieving my grieving my parents' divorce,
Mm,
actually, which was like, I think about, when I was in New Jersey and see, we would just like lay on the couch together and we'd have two Christmas trees and it would just feel so warm and I feel so secure. And I remember asking them one time in that setting, like, are you ever going to get divorced? Is that? And my mom was like, never, no.
hmm.
And for some reason that I remembered that. I probably, it's like not natural to remember that kind of a memory. And
Well, it
then
was
so many.
important to you.
Yeah, it was. And then, to, you know, the divorce for them was it was healthy that it happened. It would have
Hmm.
been very unhealthy if they stay together. Um, but yeah, it's just like grieving change, grieving these things that,
Yeah. It's a destruction of the life that you imagine for yourself.
yeah,
And I mean, that's what grief really is, isn't it? Like, I mean, yeah,
mm,
you're sad that that person's gone. Like, that's a huge aspect of it. But like, the life that you had imagined for yourself includes that person, and now it doesn't.
yeah,
I don't know. That's what it
yeah,
is for me. But that might have been because I was so young. So like, there was a whole lot of life ahead for me to imagine with my parents. But yeah, I mean, when my parents got divorced, it was the same sort of thing. It was like
that's
my
right.
family unit was destroyed.
So when did your parents get divorced? When you were like 10 or?
They were separated when I was 10 or 9 or 10, in that sort of thing area, like 2000. And then they divorced when I was 12. And then he died when I was 13. Which we've talked about, like, is that all related? Because my dad cheated on my mom. When, I don't know if this is stuff I'm supposed to share. I'm sure everybody knows this, but he cheated on my mom when my mom was pregnant, and like right after when my mom had Sarah. Um, and yeah, my mom tried to keep the relationship alive and tried to go to therapy with him, and he just wasn't having any of it. said horrible things to her, like I never loved you, you know, and then you like wonder where trust issues come from. Oh, from a man like that. Just, I mean, he was really abusive verbally. Like, I mean, not in the way you stereotypically think about verbal abuse, but like that family is so manipulative in their verbal abuse that it's just like, you're like, was that an insult? Did you just insult me? Like, it's that sort of like, you know, underhand, backhanded compliment sort of like culture of just like, this is so mean. Wait, but you're being nice, but this is so mean.
Oh,
Um, that sort of whole environment. Yeah, my dad was just not a good person. He was really, really mean in a lot of ways and had no room for compassion, even though he had a really rough upbringing. Not rough financially, but rough in that like his parents didn't raise him. He was raised by nannies. Like that sucks, you know, like no compassion. And he was a bit of a narcissist. So
I mean, this is something that just like I just so admire about you is I wish that I had the courage, or I feel like you just confronted so many things in yourself so honestly and straightforwardly. Like for me, I live in a world of abstractions, and like
mm,
it's very safe, you
mm-hmm,
know, and I've realized like I don't really like whenever I think of something that is kind of sad, I hold my breath a lot. And so I don't like breathe with it. I don't actually process it. I think I hold my breath because I try to keep it at a distance.
mm-hmm.
Um, and and like the way that you're talking so matter of factly about like your family, and it's just so apparent just how honest you've been with yourself and the circumstances. And for me, that's just so hard. It's really hard
Well,
to,
I think I have an advantage. I've been doing it since I've been doing that for over 15 years. I've been looking at my life and looking at my dad and like looking at what he did to me. And I think when somebody's out of your life, it's easier to acknowledge their shit behavior. Um, I don't know if he was still here, if I would have progressed that much. It was like a big turning point for me. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think like, yeah, it's easy to say that I have like a good grasp on confronting emotion, but when you're depressed your entire life, you just kind of live in an emotion state. So I just have always been hyper emotional. And like, it is what it is. People would come to me after shows and be like, did you cry? Like that was like the
yeah, the
question asked
standard,
of me.
right? Yeah.
Yes, I cry. I cry after almost every show. I love crying in shows. I love cathartic release like that. Um, so, I mean, that's just, I enjoy confronting emotion. I enjoy looking at emotion like that. And that's not it for a lot of people. And that's probably, I know, it could be a multitude of reasons why you feel that way. It could be you saw it in somebody else and you found it unappealing and you never didn't want to reflect that sort of hyper emotionality in that way. Or, uh,
Mm,
you
mm.
know, like, or you were told that you couldn't be emotional, you know, it's like, which is it, you know, it's always one of those things.
Yeah, I think I think that I've always kind of considered myself a pretty emotional person and emotionally
Yeah,
intelligent, which I think I
yeah,
am.
absolutely.
I think I, you know, I think I am sensitive to that. I'm sensitive to people, but for myself, like I just don't like feeling. Oh, I think this is. Yeah, I'm just kind of
Out
discovering
of
this now with you.
control.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel like I feel like if I Julia, you know, I mean when
No, because
I
I feel the same way. It's the perfectionist in us.
yeah,
Yeah.
that if I breathe with it and I actually feel things, that I will become paralyzed by it, and then I won't be nearly as efficient as I want to be in my normal day. I'll want to lay in bed for 5 or 6 hours, maybe read, go to bed, and then I won't get the things done that I want to get done or I think deserve to get done. The things that I know I could get done if I just held my breath and kept moving, you know, and
But why is being efficient better?
well,
That's, I guess that's
that's
my
it.
question. That's
That
capitalism. That's telling us that if we don't do so much in a day, we're somehow worthless. Your worth is not in your efficiency and what you've done productively in a day. I mean,
Yeah, and
That's
that's
my
it.
take on things. And I mean, for some people, maybe that is their worth. And I don't want to judge anybody for that being important to them. But yeah, it's just not.
No, I think you're right. I think that is the big brainwash that I know theoretically that it would just be so much healthier to be honest with myself, spend a year like to allow myself to just feel things actually, and if I just spent a year day after day just allowing myself to breathe with my feelings, that I would grow in an exponential way, I think, and somehow come out of that brainwashing. Because I do believe that being with yourself here and now is the healthiest option over being efficient. But
But that
like,
comes with privilege.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
So, like, I
That's
come
right.
from a place of severe privilege where I can take the time to do that because I don't have to work, you know?
Interesting.
So that, I
Yeah.
mean, but that is because of capitalism.
Well, yeah. I mean, see,
Ah,
this is why I love having you on, because because you are the high priestess.
Jesu Domine.
um, there we go. We're gonna put. Dude, have you
Healthy
seen Tim?
choice.
Have you seen Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie?
Jimmy texts me one more time about Tim and Eric. I'm gonna hunt him off a cliff.
Wait, can I get Jimmy on here? Do you think I could get Jimmy on? There's no way he would come on here.
Not in a million years. You're talking to the guy who literally has every sort of like location, cookies, like any sort of like thing that like shows where he is in the world turned off. He does not do digital media whatsoever. That man is literally off the grid in a way that doesn't make any sense. Like, you can't have my information. When we went on vacation together to Disney last year, he literally was like, you can't post pictures without my permission. I was like,
Are you kidding? Wow,
I mean,
why?
he's not super serious about it, but he's a little serious about it.
He says it for the joke of it, for
He
sure.
says it for the joke, but he's also like very intense about it, and like on his phone has like the dark screen protector so that you can't see what's on his phone unless you're like looking at it from that aerial perspective.
Oh my God,
He's
Jimmy.
very private.
I always
I
wanted to
don't
get.
understand privacy.
Yeah, Jimmy's another one that I wish I had got to know better. Like, I feel like I knew him better than other people did at school, but he's just always just so like
He's
funny, and but
I don't want to like talk about somebody and
yeah,
then like,
I know,
you know
I
what I
know.
mean?
Yeah,
But
I know.
he is a very, like I said, he's really private.
Yeah.
He shares so little. It's like pulling teeth. And that's not just like about, social media or whatever. It's like getting him to express feelings is like the most difficult thing in the world. Unless it's anger. And if it's anger, it comes at you full force with like a train. But
I
yeah.
think it's probably best not to talk about him if he, anymore, because I could go on about Drag Me to Hell. And
Oh yeah. We're such, oh man,
yeah,
poor
we were,
Jimmy.
yeah,
Poor
poor Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Poor
We were
Jimmy,
like
we
making fun of him while he was going into a diabetic coma.
oh no.
Oh,
Well,
anyways.
we didn't know, I know, but
We didn't know. How could we have ever known?
yeah, that was like, yeah. But Jimmy
He's a good
Barbuda,
friend.
we love you. Yeah.
We love you so much.
Let's see. And then I guess we're coming up on an hour. I guess I'm just interested, pretty like um, sharp non sequitur, just like what your thoughts are these days. Yeah, social justice. Just like what your thoughts are of like Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter movement, and also I'm really interested in cancel culture. And well, actually, you know what? Like, you talked about Black Lives Matter a little earlier. I'd be
Yeah.
more interested in talking about like cancel culture, and also like deep fake technology. Like these deep, like the fucking deep fake is like fucking terrifying to me. I was just watching a video. the other day of deepfake, and
Yeah.
that's going to be our undoing.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a lot of, I was learning about AI in my language development class, because like that's a huge part of AI is how is like teaching them how to learn language and neural networks. And AI plus deepfake, yeah, yeah, we're
It's
gonna
gonna
be,
yeah, that's how we're gonna. I mean, AI is just gonna realize, okay, like the way that they get all their information is by these videos. So let's just, yeah,
I mean,
make.
it's already like that. It's already just force fed, like, this is the opinion that you like. So here, let me give you an onslaught in your little bubble and think that everybody thinks like you. It's really unhealthy. But yeah, I think cancel culture is also the worst thing of all time.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's just, it leaves no room for growth. And you need to let people grow. Now, if they've proven time and time again that they're horrible, like Harvey Weinstein, he can be
Yes.
canceled.
Yeah.
That's
Yes. Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. We can cancel Harvey Weinstein. We can cancel abusers. That's fine. What we can't cancel is somebody making a mistake, one mistake, or I have a hard time with the cancel culture stuff of bringing up from people's past, like 15 years ago, of something they
Mm.
did and saying that that's who they are now. And so you need to cancel them. Or they did that and they're done. Sorry.
You're good.
And that I have a big issue with. I don't respect that, because I am not who I was in high school. I wouldn't want anybody to perceive me as that person either.
Well,
Um,
what do you think of like canceling like American Beauty, this great film by Alan Ball starring
right.
Kevin Spacey?
Yeah.
Like should that movie be canceled?
Yeah, I don't like that. I think the movie is fine and we don't have to respect him or give him any more money. But like the same thing goes with Michael Jackson. I'm not canceling Michael Jackson's music. It's some of the best pop music ever made. And I don't have to support him as a human being. You know what I mean? I do think there is a difficult line. Um, it is a difficult line. I think a lot of it has to do with like future projects and stuff, like what they do from here on out. Maybe that's a not a cool perspective. I could be wrong on that and need to change my perspective. But for me, like, yeah, I'm not gonna give Kevin Spacey any of my money if that's the society we live in, where people's value is deemed based off of wealth and money and what they earn, and like, then you don't get my money. um
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Michael Jackson's dead, so we can't, have him own up or like take ownership for the mistakes he made. Um, I don't know. It's a really difficult line between acknowledging somebody's past and the horrible things they've done, and also acknowledging the good things they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who do you think are any of your friends kind of do you feel like a kind of cancel culture is uh, kind of a majority opinion of your friends? And if not, like, who do you think are the people that are supporting cancel culture?
Yeah. So the people in my life who are like that are more auxiliary friends, and um, they're all neoliberals.
Hmm.
Like, that's really the fact of the matter of it, is like Hillary stands. You know what I mean? Like, people
Hmm.
who are really into that sort of presentational liberalism. Cancel culture provides people with a way to show that they're supporting, and to be, what's that called? Virtue signaling. It's a little virtue signaling. I also just think it's like, yeah, it's people who haven't really, there's a lot of like hard things with cancel culture of like, and just society right now is hyper judgmental, and you don't want to do the wrong thing. But there's not a lot of gray area. So I think everything's like very black and white right now. And we kind of have to live in those gray areas in order to understand our own personal moral codes and what morality means to us individually. I have a hard time there being like an overarching code that we all have to adhere to socially. I think there should be some basic levels of things that we kind of agree upon are good versus bad, but it's not that clear cut.
The thing that kind of interests me is like, Black Lives Matter, I think is, I mean, definitely an important movement, but it also assumes that all black people have the same opinion, which is not true.
Oh,
Like,
it's very not true. Look at
yeah,
Ben Carson.
yeah, exactly. Right, right. And you look at like the people who voted in 2016, a million black people voted for Trump.
Hmm.
So
But
like,
that stems from it. That's a whole. I mean, yeah, that's complicated because that comes from internalized racism, the same way that
right,
there's internalized misogyny.
right.
And yeah.
Yes, I agree, but I also think that that it's really hard to for like I'm really interested in like the black community, right? Like
Hmm.
if the majority of black people say like this is an important opinion to have,
Hmm.
but they like I wonder like to what extent there are black people in the black community who feel like they're being forced to believe a certain opinion about themselves and their own identity. I mean, and this
I'm
is
sure
actually
there are.
this is a conversation that I really need to have with my black friends and other black people too.
Yeah.
You know, like we're two white people like sitting here talking about it.
Right.
But that's something that I'm
Yeah.
interested in, and I think I think cancel culture disables us for anyone from actually having those kind of conversations where we can
Hmm.
learn what are subtleties and the subtleties of the dynamics of these movements, like Me
Hmm.
Too, and like that there are so many women who voted for Trump, like
That's internalized misogyny.
you
That is
know
just hands down. So, with all those internalized issues, they all stem from wanting to be as close to power as possible, right? So, you other yourself from the group that's the minority so that you can be closer to the majority. Um,
And
at
by
least
that you
that's,
mean the people who don't have power, with like by the minority you mean the people who don't have power,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. So, I mean, like Laura
Like not in terms of
Ingraham,
numbers, but
Laura Ingraham, nothing that she is doing benefits her besides like dispelling women, you know what I mean? Like, or like not dispel, do you understand what I'm saying? Like
uh
she puts down women so that she is closer to men and thus closer to power.
mhm.
And so like and then so she can grow by taking that standpoint. And then she's also like the smallest, she's a smaller fish in or she's a bigger fish in a small pond. So I also think that has something to do with it too. Like, because there are so few people with that position, with that background, you know what I mean? Or, I mean, white women is a whole other thing. I don't understand white women. As a white woman, I don't get it. Like the fact that so many like internalized misogyny in this country is so intense. Like it is all about hating being a woman. You think about the stuff of like, you know, I'm just not really friends with women. Like I just have always gotten along much better with guys. They're so low drama, like that sort of conversation. Or I'm like, I'm a girl, a guy's girl. Um, that need to distance yourself from the feminine in order to be taken more seriously, um, is a whole thing. And yeah, it's so insane. It's a huge reason why I hate the church too. So like that's like
Interesting.
I just can't. Oh,
So like how do we fix that? How do you think that we fix that
well, you
problem?
can't force anybody to feel any way. That's the thing. That's the root of it all, right? You can't make somebody feel something. You can. Well, I've been talking a lot with my friends about like, because a couple of us come from conservative families, and that you kind of have to look at people and see how far they're willing to come, and are they willing to come 10%? If you can get them to come 10% towards you, that's more than
Nothing.
yeah, exactly, that's more than nothing. And but then there are people who are 100% away from you, and they will hold their ground till the end, and there's kind of no point in wasting your time because they're not going to listen to you.
See,
And
I wonder like I wonder if that's just out of fear, or like if people are so far away from you and they're just holding themselves off, maybe that has in that maybe other people haven't even tried to approach them and actually tried to listen to them as people, maybe not as
Mhm.
their like I think that if I think there is a way to get those people to come 10% at least or something, to at
I
least
would
take
like
a
to
step.
think that, but there's definitely people who are just filled with hate, and I don't know what that is, and I don't know if that's a chemical dysfunction. Um, but I think that's an idealistic version, is that we could get everybody to come 10%, but I think you can listen to a lot of people, and a lot of people will come towards you a little more if they felt heard or seen. Um, but there's also a fair amount of people who don't have that level of compassion and that level of empathy. And I don't know what happened to them, if that's something that was instilled in them, or it's like something genetically, like they're like genetically predisposed to hate. I
Mm.
just don't understand that. Why would you spend your time hating people? It just
See,
doesn't
I
make
think
any
I
sense.
like I think that if we think about it as a genetic thing, though, that it becomes way less. People would be way less likely to
Feel
even attempt
responsible. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that I think it could be something with like a abuse or just
Yeah.
neglect
Mm-hmm.
or like and that.
Lack of education.
Yes, exactly. Like, I mean, if you hit all those things, like if you have been neglected, you were abused, you don't have any education, you don't have any community
Mm-hmm.
or family, like of course you're gonna, you're gonna
Right.
be like a put up a wall and for
Yeah.
everyone and
Well,
because you just
so
haven't
what's
had
his
that
face's
experience.
hierarchy of needs, right?
Oh yeah, Maslow's, right? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Right. Like, so like you don't have the time to delve into your interpersonal life when you're trying to be alive.
It's trying to survive.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
like the thing that always just shocks me is that how many poor people vote for conservatives. That's just brainwashing that's been done. It's just like literally the conservative party's one goal is to keep money out of the hands of poor people.
We just
That
have to
always
break we have to break down the two-party system. I mean,
agreed.
that's my,
Well, I
that's
hate
actually
the Democratic Party too. So
yeah,
like,
they suck. Like
yeah.
like Biden, I mean,
Oh,
Biden is better than Hillary, but I mean, he's senile.
no, he is not. I would rather vote for Hillary again than vote
Really?
for Joe
Oh,
Biden.
no, no, no. See, I would see. I don't think Biden is as well. I think okay. So he had those sexual allegations, which is awful, but I
Yeah.
don't think he is as corrupt as Hillary
Yeah.
is.
Oh, yeah. That woman is a money hungry, like, soul sucker. I don't trust her
Yeah.
as far as I can throw her. I mean, she really is. She is like classic corporate capitalist America.
Did
Like,
you
I'm
vote for
just not
Hillary?
interested. Yeah, because I wasn't voting for Donald Trump.
Jill Stein?
No. Did you vote for Jill Stein?
Yeah, I never voted for Obama. I voted for Jill Stein in 2012 and 2016. Yeah. No,
Kenneth.
but look. Okay.
I mean, I get it. I get it. I totally understand. Listen, I vote for Bernie every time in the primaries. I love that man. I love Elizabeth Warren. I loved Elizabeth Warren. She kind of showed colors that I was not too interested in this campaign. But um, I mean, but even when you look at Bernie is like a weird, like the things we do with people and like idealizations and whatever. That's a whole.
mhm.
We
No, it's
do
okay.
that
Yeah.
with presidents specifically, is that we like try to turn these people that are just people. They're just people. They just happen to get here. You know what I mean? They're just people. They're like a normal person.
This is the thing. This is the thing with like I disagree with a few things that Bernie talks about. I think that I don't want my vote to be going towards someone who I think isn't like I want my political voice to go to someone who I think matches up with my beliefs the most. And
Yeah, and that's why we
yeah,
should have no electoral college and a tiered voting system,
yeah, I think yeah, exactly. So like
or
yeah, I've been
ranked, or whatever it's
yeah,
called.
exactly.
Yeah.
Ranked choice voting. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah. Actually that's something that I've been talking about on this channel a ton is this organization, Represent Us, that talks about ranked choice voting and getting money out of politics. And but I think that, you know, only half in 2016, only half of Americans voted in the presidential
I
election.
know.
Like, I think the people who vote third party shouldn't be ostracized for it. You know, like, and I'm not saying that you're ostracized because, like,
Right.
but like that, like, Jill Stein was for getting rid of the college debt. You know, like,
Yeah.
like in 2016, Bernie didn't talk about that. Jill Stein talked about it, and then in 2020, Bernie adopted Jill Stein's idea of getting rid of the college debt. So, like,
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons I voted for Jill Stein in
I
2016.
think given the two-party system, uh, conservatives don't vote third party.
They don't.
And so that's where I think the frustration comes from, is that, is that an ant or a fly? But sorry, that's where the frustration comes from, is because it always negatively affects the Democratic Party. So
I wonder
I think
about
that's, yeah.
the libertarian, like Gary John. I wonder if people voted. I don't know, like, how many
I don't know that it's ever
Republicans
happened where it takes an election away from a
from.
conservative.
It's interesting. That's true.
And I think that's the only reason why, because it's happened so many times
It's
with
really
the,
an issue of our system, not of, like,
yes,
individual people. You know, like,
yes.
that's the when Trump was elected, I was, in 2016, I was talking to a lot of people about how they should vote third party, especially if they were living in New York, right?
Mm,
Um, right, because if actually a third party gets 5% of the national vote, like an like a numerical 5%, then that third party gets twice as much money for the following election. The FEC
mm.
doubles, like, gives them dollar for dollar towards the donations that's given to that party, and it will help to grow the third party. And but I got hate. That's all to say that because I was talking about Jill Stein and Trump won, I was getting, like, texts from three or four different people just saying, like, this is your fault, Kenny. Like, this is why,
It's not
which is,
entirely your fault. It's the fault of the electoral college.
yeah,
That's
it's
literally
the
it.
fault of
She
the
won.
system.
She literally won by 3 million votes. That woman won.
Do you think that after Trump getting elected has actually helped galvanize the progressive movement more than it would have if Hillary didn't
Oh,
win?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I think the reason why, it had it been like Mitt Romney, I don't think people would have been so upset. But Trump is one of the most disgusting people to ever exist on this planet. I mean, he is responsible for the deaths of like 150,000 people. His handling of this situation is one of the most disgusting things I've ever watched. To send people back to school, I just, like, the amount of teachers that not only sacrifice their lives constantly for fear of school shooters are now going to sacrifice their lives for glorified babysitting. And teachers are not babysitters. And that's literally why they're sending children back to school. That is their excuse, is that parents need to work. It's just, this country could easily take care of all of its citizens for a year. It could have easily done that. It could have easily given us thousands of dollars every month and had us being taken care of for the past whatever few months. We wouldn't be in this economic crisis. We wouldn't, like, but we spend more money than any other country on our fucking military, because it's just a dick show where it's all about how big we are and how many people can suck us off. Like, seriously, like, I actually hate the American. And it's frustrating because then you talk to, like, foreigners, like I talk to, like, my Canadian friends, and they're like, you should be embarrassed. And I'm like, we are embarrassed. Like, we are embarrassed. Like, I don't know anybody who's not a Trump supporter who is proud to be an American right now. It's scary. It's scary. Our lives are at risk on the daily now, literally on the daily. for the sake of capitalism in our economy. Like, I just, and that doesn't even include the people whose lives were already at risk on the daily before all of this. And that's why Black Lives Matter is so important, you know?
Mm.
If this is what it feels like for me, can you only imagine if your entire life felt like that? That every time you left the house, you might feel like you're going to get murdered? Like,
What's crazy is I talked to this black guy from Norway or from Sweden, and I asked him, you know, like what is
mm-hmm.
police brutality like up in Sweden, and he said that he never thinks about police brutality ever. He's never nervous about the police. This guy Muhammad.
Well, because they're unarmed, aren't they? Norway?
I don't know. I don't think that that's it. I think that like there is just like Sweden wasn't a country that was based off of slavery,
Right,
you
right,
know,
right,
and
right.
so there's that, and then also like
Not to say though that
there's
all of
just
Europe,
hate. No, no,
yeah,
no, certainly.
but like I always like get upset about that as Europeans being like, oh, we didn't do slavery, or like we left slavery way earlier. I'm like, you all economically benefited from slavery
Yes,
all the way up until
yes,
America stopped slavery. That's the whatever.
that's true. No, no, no. You're right. You're right. And I'm sure that slavery manifested itself very differently. I don't think it was like, you know, I don't think like Sweden, you know, imported black
Right, right, right.
people
Yeah,
to, you know,
listen, it's the
right.
worst in America.
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying
Right.
that, but yeah.
Right. But there's something else about there's something else about this culture of hate here that
Yeah.
just I don't know if it is actually the presence of diversity. Like, could I don't know. Like, could diversity
Yeah.
actually, you know, intensify xenophobia?
Well, you look
It's,
at countries like France when they have huge influxes of Muslim people and their issues of Islamophobia in France, that when diversity does happen, yeah, the countries that are most at peace and most successful are like unicultural.
right.
Like
Yeah,
it's,
homogenous, right?
yeah, homogenous. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I don't know. And America is incredibly diverse. There is a huge smattering of different type of people here. Um, I don't know. And there's like a weird sense of ownership that I don't know that other countries have. That we're really intense about our ownership of
Mm,
both our land, our items, our rights, our like, I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but
yeah, maybe like a kind of like yeah, very egoistic kind of
the individualist
yeah,
is huge. Yeah, like that whole like individualism versus taking care of the community is a huge
that's true.
aspect of American culture, of that, like if you work hard enough you can be number one. um and maybe we're just like descended from people like that, I don't know. And like, I don't know
I
what's
think you're onto
instilled.
something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the idea of like the individual being more of a priority than the community, right? And even though, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to figure something out.
Hmm.
Because,
Do you ever think about running for office?
yeah, yeah, I do. I don't know when, I don't know how, but
But like a small, you could work small, start small, work in a city council or something like that.
yeah, I mean, there's so many things I want to do. There's
Hmm.
so many things.
There's a couple of friends that I've like constantly been on about being in politics, and you're definitely one of those people that I feel like should be in politics.
I'm always on my dad about it. My dad should run for mayor of his town.
Your dad
Um,
would be like, oh, whatever you guys want. I just want to make sure everybody's happy.
he's like on the church advisory council, and like he like help his church raise like $10,000 more every year than they had in previous years. Like he's just common sense smart. I mean, he's not, you know, he's
I
not the
love
most
your dad.
liberal person in the world, but but
Neither is my mom.
but he gets the job done, and he's a
Yeah.
saint, you know. And yeah, politics needs more people like my dad in it.
Yeah,
So,
dude, I love your dad. Ugh.
yeah. I miss him. I love him.
I haven't seen him since we graduated high school or somewhere around there. Like maybe he came and saw a show or something.
Wow.
But I feel like your mom always came and saw shows after college, but I don't think I ever saw your dad at any of them.
My mom. I just talked to her. I forgot. I would have told her. I totally forgot to tell her that we were going to talk today. But I sent her the first link to a YouTube video on my channel, so she may see that. I'll send her the link to this, and she'll probably love that we're talking about her.
Oh,
Um,
I love you, Heather.
yeah. She'll be like, get like Julia said that she loves me. Like, get me her mom's contact info. That's I'll be like, okay, okay. I will. I still need to. I still need to. We can do that another time.
This is always one of those things where it's like people like I love when people think that I'm a communicative person because I'm not. Like I will tell you I love you because I love you in my heart, but like I'm not gonna call you. Like my grandmothers get so mad about it. They get so upset. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't call my own mother. I don't. I'm an introvert. I don't take the time out of my day to talk to people.
My mom sends me some nice texts every day, but I don't. I should get back to her more often. Sorry, mom. I should get back to you more often.
Yeah, but weren't we talking about recently where you were like, oh, I haven't called my parents in a week? And I was like, I haven't spoken to my mom in a month. Like, I just, yeah, people have different thresholds of what they find appropriate for maintaining a relationship. And
Yeah, it's interesting.
I could go 4 years without talking to you and it would be fine.
Yeah, we'll just get back together, like go out for a beer. Enjoy.
You know, I
We're
can't drink beer, but that's all right.
Oh no? Well, we'll go out. Do you remember that? Remember that time? I was telling Derek about that time. My roommate Derek. I was telling him that one time we got stuck with $1,000 bill after.
That's not the story I thought you were going to tell. And that was like the most upsetting story ever. I hated that night. That night made me, there were so many things going wrong with that night.
one
I didn't even
thousand
have
dollars.
any drinks. I didn't have drinks or dinner. I like came in late and had to pay for almost the entire thing.
Remember all those lemon drop shots and
Yeah,
all those? Oh, that was great.
it was
That
so
was
upsetting.
great.
I thought you were going to talk about when you, me, and Max and my mom went out for drinks after Rough Draft and we got like blackout drunk, all of
Oh my
us.
God, I don't remember that.
You don't? We went and got my mom got margarita pitchers for like everybody, and then everybody left, and it was just you, me, and Max and my mom, and we got so
Oh
wildly
wait.
inebriated.
Oh my God, I do remember that.
Don't worry, it's burned into my mother's mind.
Oh, that's right. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, Kenny," or something, right? She's like,
Oh, it's just
"Man, that was a
so funny.
blast."
That night was. My mom never drinks. That's just the funniest. When she does, I'm always just like, this is hilarious.
We gotta do that again sometime. I don't know when, but
Yeah, maybe in a year.
yeah, maybe. I don't know if I'm ever gonna come back to New York. Who knows what I'm gonna do?
That's fine. I think I hope I'm going to Columbia. We'll see. That would be my
Oh,
hope is that I get into
okay.
Columbia.
First thing I
Um,
was thinking is Colombia, like South America. I was like, but yeah, but there's no reasoning.
yeah, nope.
Oh, yeah, nope.
Nope.
What are your other choices? Colombia.
Really have any other choices? I need to figure that out. But I'm not applying, school, those things are all due like January 1. So I have time.
Okay.
I gotta take GREs and then apply. So I have a lot of time to research what places I want to apply to. I was thinking about Georgia State for a while. I'm not sure that I want to go to Atlanta anymore. We'll see. And then I've looked at Montana. They require too many prerequisites.
Mm.
That's like the biggest thing is that there's like this massive amount of prerequisites because I looked at Brooklyn College too, and they require like 24 credits. Columbia requires 9, which I'm like,
Right.
I'm gonna go to the school with the better reputation and the less credits. Like, that's fine by me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, would that be
but
teachers' college? I guess.
yeah, yeah. So then you come out licensed, which is nice.
I know so many people that have gone there and have really enjoyed it. Really
Yeah,
like.
that would be my dream. That's where Stacy went. Um,
MA, right? MA and I guess Teachers College too, right? Yeah,
yeah,
Shakespeare.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I'm again, no pressure. Whatever happens, happens. If
Well,
things don't line up the way they don't line up, then
yeah,
there was a reason.
that's the yeah. So before we get going, before I end this and start put this on YouTube, um, which is going to be amazing. What do you have any last words or any things that you feel like were left unsaid that you'd want to say to young people out there or to just anyone?
Hmm. Just care a little less. Care a little more and care a little less. Think about what your priorities are in life and what you put a lot of attention to, and is that worth your attention and effort? I just think some of those things we don't consider all the time, and where we spend our energy, and maybe the energy is better spent on making this world a better place. Not holding yourself as to high as standards as you think you ought to. Is that
Awesome.
my final? Yeah, sure. And when I die, I would like to be carried by pallbearers who are in glittery onesies and dancing to ABBA. That also is my actual last words.
Okay, I'll make sure that happens. It's on here. We have evidence that this will happen. Yeah, so that's coming from two old 29-year-olds. Yeah, care a little less and enjoy, be present with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. Well, Julie, I love you.
I love you too. This was
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, this was a blast.
Anytime. Anytime.
Okay. Yeah. The last thing is, I'll just ask if you could send a picture of me, picture of yourself.
A picture of us? A picture of us? Can
Yeah.
I send the picture of us from the middle school dance?
Yeah, you could send that picture,
Okay.
and that'll be the thumbnail of our video.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
That's the best picture.
All right, Julia.
All right. I
I'll
love
see.
you.
If you could send that in an email, because I can't, yeah, don't send that in a text if that.
Yeah, because I'm an ancient old man.
That's me, ancient white guy using email. Okay. All right. See ya. Bye.
Bye.